All right. So we are now doing this via laptop. The iPad experiment has gone off by the wayside. It's been tossed. We're throwing that away because that didn't work out the way I hoped it would. So here we start with our questions from Twitter. So my man, TT Makati, he rarely do it. He rarely tweet it, but he's tweeting it here. Asking, what is the over-under on targets for Colby Young in the red zone? Well, I've got to say, I'm hoping at least 3 to 5. Um, if they get down there, and they're within, the 10-yard line, you got to go to this guy, man. I mean, he's proven he can go up and get it. He's got hands. He's got size. It's not a burner, but he's the kind of guy you use around the goal line. So I would hope 3 to 5 targets. That would be my goal. But you got to get down there first, right? Okay. So we move on to my man, Robert Morales. My man is in Italy right now, enjoying a vacation, enjoying the time of his life, and I am quite jealous at this point. He asks, can we get the running game going enough to be a balanced offense? I was 9-3 at the start of the year. Now will we make a bowl game? I know how you feel. I think not, but hopefully I'm wrong. Just spent 2 weeks in Italy drinking wine to forget the losses. Now hanging with Super Mario, hoping it brings us fun. So I guess he's back from Italy, and he's hanging with this little rent Mario. Is this a Mario from the recent trailer? Is that Chris Pratt in the suit promoting the movie? Either way, thank you, Robert, for the question. As always, my man, thank you for tuning in and being a loyal listener and always reaching out via Twitter. I think with the injuries to the offensive line right now, it's going to be a little bit difficult to be more balanced to really get the running game going. But I think eventually, as guys get healthy, especially Zion, it'll be a little bit easier. I think what you're going to probably see is more passing attempts or rushing attempts, the rest of the season. But there will be opportunities to run the ball. Like this week, I think this week they can run the ball like I thought last week, but that didn't happen. But this week, hopefully they get off the schneid. They throw the ball early a little bit, especially horizontally with the bubbles, the quick streams, RPO stuff with the slants, and get that defense to widen so they can loosen up the box a little bit to be able to run the football. So hopefully, my man, we get what you're looking for. We get a little bit more balance. Here's a question from Island Canes. Barring injuries we're not aware of, the Brinson, Frierson, Avante disappearance is weird. These are exceptional talents that everyone wanted. They aren't fringe contributors. Is it possible or not as much buying into the system and staff and head coaches we hope? So thank you for the question, my man, Island Canes, always reaching out. I think the implication here with your question is that you think the coaches may be not playing them because these guys aren't buying into the system and they're rubbing the coaches the wrong way, maybe. I will tell you this. I have numbers. Okay? What these numbers say, I don't know, but we'll see. So Avante Williams has played in 4 games. He's got 31 snaps. All right. His overall PFF defensive grade is 46.1, which is not good. Now, again, I understand that PFF is not the end all be all, but we're talking about 4 games and 31 snaps worth of data. 27.8 tackle grade, which is pretty friggin' atrocious, and a 46.0 cover grade. So with Avante, it looks to me like it might be performance-based. And then when he gets on the field, he's not taking advantage of his opportunity. And you can't blame the coaches for that. I think all 3 of these guys are having the same kind of issues. Let's look at Gilbert Frierson. I expected a lot of him too this year. 5 games, 55 snaps. Gilbert Frierson's defensive grade, all 5s again, 55.5. He's got a 51.9 tackle grade and a 57.2 cover grade. So he's below average. He's not playing well. Romello Brinson, 5 games, the most significant amount of snaps out of the 3 you've mentioned, 133 snaps. And just to give you an idea, Elijah Arroyo has played 138 snaps before his injury, so they're roughly comparable. He's got a 54.3 offensive grade and a 55.5 receiving grade. What it means by receiving grade, that means your actual route running and the way you run your routes and are able to catch the ball. So he's been targeted 6 times. He's got 3 receptions, 34 yards. Again, another guy getting on the field, 133 snaps. He's got opportunities. Not doing a whole lot with it. So I think in the case of all 3 of these guys, they've got to play better. They've got to want it more. They've got to show why they deserve to be on the field more. And I think that's the issue that the coaches are having with these guys. They just haven't performed to the level they should. Now, why are they not performing to that level? Why can't these coaches get them to the level that their high school recruitment and their high school star rating and their hype, and really even with Gilbert Frierson, his early production even remodeled a little bit his production last year, and the flashes that Avante showed last year. I mean, I can't answer that, to be quite honest. I mean, sometimes guys just lose it. There's that change in coaching staff, change of system, and just can't operate. And sometimes it's not the right fit for them. Unfortunately, that may be the case here. And finally, we have an interesting question from my man Ryan Quinteto. Mi hermano, how do you explain it's a first-year transition period when Lincoln Riley has USC at 6-0 in his first year? The excuses are getting old. I get you, Ryan. I understand it. Believe me, I'm here with you, man. But there seems to be a little bit of a difference between USC and Miami right now. Obviously USC went 4-8 last year. They weren't a great team either, and they are having huge turnarounds this season. I will start with the fact that they have a shit ton of transfers. I know we got a bunch of transfers, but most of those were put along the offensive and defensive line, not a lot of them the skill position areas. The other big thing is that one of those transfers happens to be Caleb Williams, who was the quarterback for Oklahoma last year, who is now playing for his former coach at Oklahoma, Lincoln Riley, running the same offensive system he ran last year when he got there. So, it's an easy transition. And Lincoln Riley doesn't have to learn his skill set too much. He knows what he can do. And he knows how to play call for him, and that helps a lot. The other thing is these guys didn't just get transfers, okay? Let's look at the guys that they have. Their top wide receiver right now is Jordan Addison. Biletnikoff winner. He had 100 receptions last year for 1,593 yards and 17 touchdowns. He leads USC. Mario Williams from Oklahoma, another trusted guy that played at Oklahoma for Lincoln Riley, knows the system, really good receiver, and helps balance with Jordan Addison. Their first running back number 1, Travis Dye from Oregon, had over 1,200 yards last year, 1,271, 16 touchdowns, okay? And he's a solid back and really good out of the backfield as well. Austin Jones, their number 2 running back, came over from Stanford, solid running back, good backup, another guy you could add in there. On defense, what do they do on defense? Well, their leading tackler is Eric Gentry. He's from Arizona State, a guy that Miami tried to get and missed on. Also, Miami tried to get Jordan Addison and missed on. I don't think Mario pursued Travis Dye because at the time he felt that, the depth in the running back room before the injury to Travante Citizen and Don Chaney Jr. was solid. But we did try to get Jordan Addison, and that failed. And I think, if Jordan Addison lands here in Miami, this offense looks a hell of a lot different having that kind of an explosive guy at wide receiver 1. That's just my opinion. And I think they also attempted to get Zay Flowers down here and missed on that. And I think Zay Flowers also would have changed the game when it comes to this offense. Having another guy like Travis Dye that had depth to the running back room, I think would have been fantastic as well. But you know what? You can't predict the future, and you didn't know what was going to happen in terms of injuries. Okay, linebacker, Eric Gentry from Arizona State. He's their leading tackler, a guy Miami wanted, long, lean, athletic guy. Also would have changed the game on defense for Miami. Their second leading tackler, Shane Lee. He is a transfer from Alabama, another strong, athletic guy, and would have been good to have him down here. Didn't have a chance, didn't land him. Their best corner, Mekhi Blackman. He's 3rd in tackles. He's from Colorado, 2nd in interception. Their defensive end, who's 3rd in sacks and near the top 5 in tackles for them, is Solomon Byrd. He's from Wyoming, another transfer. So, what you're seeing is that they targeted the transfer portal very well, but landed, I think, more frontline players from the transfer portal, whereas we were picking up role guys. You pick up a guy like Jacob Lindenstein. I think the only one that really was a stud that we picked up was Akeem Mesidor, and you're seeing that. And I think I read today in PFF that Akeem Mesidor is the only guy that's top 5 in run grade and pass rush grade in terms of defensive linemen in the country. One of the only guys that's top 5 in both rush grade and pass rush grade, run defense and pass rush grade in the country. So Akeem Mesidor is living up to the hype and playing very well. But he's the only real frontline guy that Miami landed as a transfer. A guy you knew was a starter, you knew was a stud. Darrell Jackson Jr., remember, was a backup last year from Maryland. He's come in here, he's got more snaps, he's looking good. He's sort of playing a little bit above his head, or right around where you thought he would. But there's no one on that roster that we picked up in terms of a transfer that you felt was going to be like, wow, this guy instantly changes the team. Caleb Johnson, you thought could help the linebackers, hasn't panned out yet. Lichtenstein's, been a rotation guy. Mesidor's been the stud. Moultrie's been okay. All these guys that you've added have been all right. The only one, I would say the one that has had the most impact thus far is Henry Parrish being the starting running back, and his impact has been okay. It hasn't been great. He's not a game changer, but he's solid. And thank God they landed him, because a lot of people are complaining about why are we using a scholarship on this guy. If they didn't land him, imagine what the running back room would look like right now. You know, it'd be pretty thin. So I think Lincoln Riley did a better job of targeting the transfers for whatever reason, however he did it. He got a ton of guys to come from Oklahoma to USC with him. Got a ton of guys that were committed to Oklahoma that he was recruiting that ended up signing with USC because he left. And I think those things, targeting those guys in those specific positions to help give them a boost, frontline guys that could start immediately and make major impacts through the transfer portal helped. And also, you know, being familiar with the quarterback and having a dynamic quarterback helps. I mean, look at Washington. Penix from Indiana went over to Washington. You know, he had a bad year last year, but a great year the year before with DeBoer. Lands with DeBoer again in Washington. He's tearing it up, and he's got Washington in the hunt for a Pac-12 title. So I think those things matter. I think having a quarterback that you know how to play call for, that you know what he can do, and you figure that out through the course of a season together, and not having to sort of figure that out as in your first year with somebody new, having that familiarity and each other, I think that helps. And I think adding, again, like all that talent they've added in those frontline positions is very, very helpful. So there you have it, man. Those are the answers to your Twitter questions. I appreciate it. Thank you guys for joining the podcast. Hopefully when I splice this together, it doesn't look too bad. And hopefully the Canes win this Saturday, win tomorrow. So thank you guys. Please make sure to subscribe on Twitter. Make sure to subscribe to the podcast wherever you get your podcast. You know, give this video a thumbs up, a like on YouTube. Please subscribe on YouTube. Follow me on Twitter. Give it a thumbs up. Give the video a thumbs up on YouTube. It helps with the algorithm. Make sure you tell everybody about it. Tell all your friends, anybody who's a Canes fan that would like some of this content. Also, this coming Monday, October 17th, Manny and I will be recording Wide Right at the Garrison Tap Room in Miami Lakes. It's in Main Street in Miami Lakes. Google it if you don't have the address. And we're going to be there starting recording at about 8 o'clock. We'll be there a little bit earlier, but we'll start recording at 8. So if you want to stop by, say hello, listen to the show being recorded, and also send us some questions through the audience being as part of being part of the audiences, being an audience member. Feel free to do that as well. So thank you guys for joining me again, and go Canes.